Miscellaneous?
Yes, sir.
Number of issues. One of them, I don't know why we're in this room. You just heard Mr. Thrain say earlier, we can't hear stuff, and we can't. We hear a lot of it, we don't hear all of it. And I think that could even be a sunshine law violation in the extreme. You guys, you gotta do something, because we just don't get it all here. The next thing, there have been a number of issues that have been put to the council president in miscellaneous. Questions, stuff that's been hanging from the beginning of this year that have still gone unanswered. And it's starting to get to the point where it looks like there's a cover-up going on or something. One of them is a $300,000 loan that appears to be in default. Asked about that numerous times, starting in February. No answer. It would appear that a contract needs to be renegotiated because the contract that's out there for the 300 grand, missing parties. The other thing, the question about PERS for Mr. Pignatello, consul's pay, according to the charter, and you all, I think you all got a printout of the charter specification that says raises for the mayor, the law director, and consul have to go on a ballot. We previously heard Mr. Pignatello say it never went on a ballot. There was some kind of meeting with Squires-Sanders some years ago when it was still Squires-Sanders. But he doesn't remember when. It looks like there's a violation of the charter. And if somebody can refute that, we'd like to hear the explanation, because it looks like raises were given, compensation was increased without the question going to the voters. The other thing is we're making public document requests. The latest episode was council changed this procedure. We used to be able to go to the person in custody of the record. Council changed it. I think Mr. Biasiotta said it was Parma's procedure that we were going to mimic. And since that's happened, we get poor information, insufficient information, or no information. And at the last council meeting, Mr. Biasiotta said it's not working. The most significant thing, and it was made a big issue in a publication, was that supposedly I made numerous requests for a specific document, and I didn't make numerous requests, but I did make a request 6 months ago. And the outcome of it was the mayor diverted the information to law, and the law won't provide the information, period. And the last thing, when Mr. Battardi was still the building commissioner, I asked him, procedure starts with him according to the charter. If you want to get a waiver on sewer charges, it has to start with the building commissioner. The building commissioner went to law, couldn't get information that would show that Stone Ridge in particular is restricted from building anything. There can be, the property's unbuildable, period, by a court finding. But we've been paying those fees forever. Now, a request was made of the law department back in 2010. Nothing happened. So then you go to Mr. Vittardi, like the charter says to go, and nothing happened because law wouldn't get back to Mr. Vittardi. So I went to Building Commissioner Hout, made the same request, even provided the law that says the Stone Ridge subdivision is unbuildable in general. And my understanding is law still hasn't got back. So the Stone Ridge HOA has been getting billed for sewer charges, and we don't pay them. So then it passes to the county, and the county assesses us and we pay it. But there's a whole lot of money that should have never been paid. When this subdivision was established, it was by court order that permits were given. Mr. Pignatello is very aware of that case, but we're still getting charged. And I'd like somebody to come up with some answers somewhere, because we've just been getting stonewalled, just like the people on North and South Mary are getting stonewalled. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Jarrett, she had a couple questions. I'm going to go over them as quickly as possible just to set the record straight. We're in this room for regular meetings, and nobody seems to have a problem here and then. And I made the decision, at least temporarily, to hold meetings in here because I find them easier to manage. I don't want to have to enforce Rule 26 or remove anyone from the room, and I found the meetings to be more orderly and more beneficial to conducting business, and that's why we're in this room. In terms of the $300,000 Genesis loan, I believe all your public records requests have been met on that. I personally went in there to make sure you got all the detailed information that you requested. Further, I had asked law to look at this, and they rendered a memo to all council several weeks ago that this is contracts in force. So I don't believe there's anything open. I think the company that fulfilled this deal long before I was on council is an asset to the city and bringing in a lot of money. So I don't know if there's anything further here. Your public records have been met on the Genesis loan, and the law department ruled that this contract is in effect, and that memo has been provided to all council. And the last time we got together, you did question the PRS for the law director, and I signed that to rules. Councilwoman Kelly, the council pay, I believe I signed to Randy or Norm, also part of rules. And last but not least was the public records. Public records I signed to Norm. After that meeting, I had asked the administration, because I take everything in residences seriously, to give me a status on all public records requests. And at that time, all of them were met, or shortly thereafter. So if there's one open request at this time, I suggest sending a follow-up. In addition, I'll tell you this, Norm did do some research and he sent it to me. I forget which city it was, and a single point of contact is how most other cities handle it. This way it doesn't get duplicate work. Prior to this policy, I would see a public records request come to me as a councilman, a third councilman, the rec director, and the service director, and it was like, well, who should fill it? Having a single point of contact should ensure that it's sent to the appropriate person, and if it's not being done in a timely manner, that's certainly not an issue with council or the process. Those are the questions I had for you. You had a concern about your sewer charges. That certainly we would follow up with the building department and law and not council. I'll urge them to get your response, but that's about the authority I have there. I'm going to wrap things up for tonight. There's been a lot of great news for Seven Hills. You all seen that the mayor got moved up. Thank Planning Commission, Engineering Service, everybody had a part on that, even law, and I thank you for doing so in such an efficient manner. As we've seen the representative from Ware was quoted in the paper, that they felt very welcomed and were very pleased with their interaction with the city of Seven Hills. On that note, I'm going to call for adjournment at 7:41. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good evening.